Now I look to Afolami, Member of Parliament, ex-librarian, to speak against the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to be back here at the Union. What I think we should start with on this side, because we've heard some very interesting speeches on both sides of the House so far, is really what is meritocracy really about? You know, we've got to try and pin this down. And what this really is about, and I jotted this as I was sitting, is it's really about four things. It's about the ability to get ahead on your talents and hard work, first point. It's about equality of opportunity, as we've heard so eloquently from this first speech in opposition, second point. It's about the principle of no discrimination, the third thing. And the fourth thing, as the second speaker in opposition made the point very strongly, it's about jobs and positions through open competition rather than through any other way of allocating them. Now, even if, and I'd be surprised if this was the case at this wonderful institution at this great university, but even if you didn't agree with any of these things, or indeed all of these things, I ask you to look and see what meritocracy over the last 150, 200, 250 years has achieved. Our society now is significantly different to even 200 years ago. So let's take 200 years ago, 1821. 1821, if we were at this university, now the Union wasn't founded, I don't think, at that stage, but there would have been various societies and debating discussions going on across Oxford. First of all, there'd have been all men. Secondly, anybody of noble birth didn't have to take a degree, they just had to be here. Thirdly, outside the university walls, poverty was rife, life expectancy was only 41 years old, or there or thereabouts. Most people lived in grinding poverty with absolutely no ability in any way, to exercise their talents in any respect. Now, I've got so many things I want to attack from the members of the proposition, but this is the first. The idea that meritocracy is simply about academic snobbery is wrong. Meritocracy is really about allowing all individuals to exercise their God-given talents, or indeed, if you don't believe in God, their natural talents in different fields, whether that be with their hands, whether that be creative, whether that be intellectual, whether that be musical, whether that be sporting, whether that be artistic.
That's rubbish.
Because, really?
Yeah. That's not what meritocracy is. I mean, if you don't know what you're talking about, sit down.
Now, I have been at this dispatch box many times, ladies and gentlemen, and I've never seen such rudeness and snobbery from the proposition. It is through the change in society which allowed developments in science and industry and technology, not on the basis of who inherited it from their father or their family, or jobbery on the basis of who they knew in the village, but because of their talent, that allowed things to be invented, whether that be through health or industry or technology or whatever it was, that made all of our lives better. Because the magic of meritocracy, the magic of it, if you compare society now to even 100 years ago, it's much better. We live longer, we're healthier. Even the number of people who live in subsistence or in poverty is much lower. The fact that I am standing here, looking as I am with the name that I've had, having attended this university itself, would not have been, I think, likely 100 years ago. So yes, though we have problems, I do believe that we are a better and fairer society today than we were in the past. And that is due, not entirely, but in large part, to the principle and practice of meritocracy. Yes, sir.
Could the speaker please explain why the relevant comparison is 1820 or 1900 rather than 1960, when there was much less inequality, much more economic growth, and generally a more prosperous society in this country and in mine?
By the way, having read the amazing work of this man, it's an honor to speak with him in this debate, but I would gently disagree with him. very, very gently disagree with him in this way. If you compare our society to 1960, indeed, you say there's much less inequality in purely financial terms. That may be true. But if you looked at this room, if you look at the old photos back in the main building of the Union, you look at a photo of the Union in 1960, I think it looked rather different to this one. I think if you looked at the backgrounds of people in this room in 1960, they were different. So not everything was better in 1960. I find that people of a certain age tend to think that everything was better in 1960 or 1950s, but I would argue that even if you don't believe anything I've said over the last few minutes, what I would say is, what is their alternative? What is it? The member for the first speaker in proposition seemed to suggest, and I wrote this down because I thought it was completely ridiculous, and she said, I'm trying to find it. Yes, this was it. She said that meritocracy led to us doing absolutely terrible and awful things to people and erodes the common good. The principle of allowing as many people as possible, by the way, we don't believe in a perfect system, but the principle of allowing as many people as possible to exercise their talents in whatever field is surely better than one where they just have to accept their lot as it is. The principle and the activity of allowing people to exercise their talent in a way that benefits all of us, benefits the common good, does not erode it. And I would finish by saying, you know what? Look, I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish by saying this. You see this chuntering from the front bench. What I would say is this. The alternative to meritocracy, and another thing said by the member, first speaker in proposition, the alternative is a system that she said is egalitarian, where your position in society has no relation to your abilities in any field or to the training you may have received. It is somehow divvied out, whether it be a lottery or some other type of system. Now, I think, as the second speaker in opposition said, this is not a better system, I would suggest, ladies and gentlemen. I think that we should be striving for a system where, as much as we can, we allocate positions in different fields. Don't fall for their rubbish about academic snobbery in all fields. People who are as best suited to exercise their talents in different ways. I am in politics, and I strongly believe, no, I won't, I'm going to finish. I strongly believe that all of us, not just in this room, but out there as well, have talents to bring to society, bring to bear to society. And it is our job as a society, and indeed in politics and in government, to bring those out in different ways. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why meritocracy is a good thing. And I would urge you to reject the bogus, ridiculous, snobbish arguments from the proposition.